Welcome to the Retention Nation podcast, the show for e-commerce brands looking to turn one-time and sometime buyers into lifetime and forever customers. Hosted by Isaac Hyman, an ex-VP of Retention and featured speaker, author, masterclass creator, and founder of High Flyer Digital, each episode features successful brands, apps, and experts who are sharing cutting-edge, innovative, and proven email, SMS, retention insights that help them grow their business to the next level profitably. Our mission is to give you the retention strategies you need to unlock profitable, predictable, and scalable revenue from every customer on your list. Let's get started. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Retention Nation podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Hyman, and on this podcast, we always talk about how to help e-commerce brands turn one-time and sometime buyers into lifetime buyers and help your brand build a better customer relationship with everyone on your list. And that's the way how you unlock profitable, predictable, and sustainable revenue streams for your business, which is exactly where brands need to be in a very challenging and very tough e-commerce space. As always, if you want to learn the secret strategies of the top brands, you really want to get a copy of my book, The Ultimate E-commerce Email and SMS Playbook. It's a great resource for you to help guide you on your way towards building a better relationship with your email and SMS list and help make sure that your customers stay with you for a lifetime, because that's what it really is all about, retention. But at the end of the day, it's not just enough to read it in a book or listen to it on a podcast or watch a video. You really got to sit down and listen to the experts who are doing it really well and sharing their secret strategies with brands like yours and with experts like us. So I want to introduce you to Michael Hodgin, who is the guest today, talking all about Freedom Raveware and even talking a little bit about AI. So let me introduce him a little bit and give his background. Michael Hodgin is the founder of Freedom Raveware, a leading brand in the festival fashion industry, offering vibrant, unique, and high-quality rave clothing. Established in 2014 in sunny San Diego, this family-run business has evolved from a garage startup to an international brand cherished by ravers worldwide. In fact, Hodgin AI emerged from the entrepreneurial spirit of Michael, and it began with the journey of Freedom Raveware and Fabric Punch, which I guess we'll learn about in a second. And the secret behind their phenomenal success was embracing AI. So, Michael, it's really great to have you here. But before we talk about AI, I know we always want to hear the stories of brands who grew through COVID. And I certainly within the festival space and event space, that probably was a challenging time. How did you emerge so successfully and where you are and where are you right now?
Yeah, well, thank you for the introduction. It's funny hearing all that stuff. It doesn't feel like we're doing all of those things simultaneously. You just get used to it. Um, the life of an entrepreneur, I guess. For COVID specifically, that was such an incredible challenge for us to overcome. And I think it was for everybody, but a live events business was a little bit different. It was the first to close and the last to open. And so it required a tremendous amount of courage, a tremendous amount of the intangible skills, the things that you don't necessarily get to read about as much in terms of, how-tos and tips on, overcoming the next, marketing trend or how to ride that wave. It was a lot more of the grit, a lot more of the, did you make your bed in the morning type stuff, the things that built character, because you woke up every day with a big question mark as to where the sales were going to come from. And what we did was we looked at the resources that were available to us. We had just invested in a micro factory for our business, and that was a few months before COVID hit in March of 2020. So we had the manufacturing capacity. We really believed in this reshoring micro factory strategy. And when COVID hit, it was like, all right, well, maybe we're not making rave clothes right now or as much, but let's pivot. And that's when we created Fabric Punch, which was our way to service other e-commerce businesses so they could at least, make their baby clothes and make their swimwear and things that people were still purchasing. And we just used our manufacturing capacity to do it. So just resourcefulness, not quitting and not saying no is how we made it through, and certainly emerged much stronger with that resilience afterwards.
That's an amazing pivot. It seems like that allowed you to understand both ends of e-commerce, which are obviously the front end, selling to consumers the products you are known for, but also the challenges on the fulfillment and the delivery side. How has that shaped your perspective now?
Yeah, we were, prior to that transition with the B2B play, which Fabric Punch was B2B, we had been all, direct to consumer, 100% online. Well, since 2017, we had been 100% online. And so starting to listen to other businesses was different for us because before it was just, how do we increase the, lifetime value and keep our acquisition costs low?
Mhm.
And this time it was like, wait, actually, this is a longer term relationship that might extend a couple years, and let's really figure out what it is that their businesses need for us to produce, still maintain Freedom Raver and what it was doing, but as Fabric Punch, learn how to be just the best partners we could be. And so um, it was a different approach, but it still came from the same fundamentals of like wanting to deliver a great experience and product.
That's huge. It's good to see that again, the pivot was exactly wrong along the lines of it's in your wheelhouse no matter what. So great to see that you pivoted that way. But along those lines, it seems that obviously we're talking about raves and events and festivals here, and this is you're selling apparel for those. It seems like you have to have a really well dialed in offline marketing strategy to help keep customers in the fold and build that loyalty. What's an example of a great offline marketing strategy that's helped you retain customers for a long time?
So the way that we started the business, I think, was the great offline strategy. I had no idea that it was a great offline strategy, but it was great for two reasons. One, it gave us enough cash flow and energy and excitement and passion to get through that phase. Uh, we were setting up vendor booths. My wife, co-founder Alyssa, was learning how to sew and producing all these products, and we were going to festivals all across the country. So, we saved up and we did that sort of carny folk traveling vendor experience and meeting with thousands of people at all of these festivals and seeing people face to face. And ravers like to go to lots of shows, so you'd see the same people, year after year, and uh, made some really awesome connections. I think it was great because, like I said, it helped generate sales there. Lifetime value harder to generate continued
Mhm.
sales in person at a festival because it's so dependent on where was your booth located. Are you set up right next to the foot traffic? Are you further away? That
Mhm.
same person might not see you. There's different types of considerations in person, but it really was an awesome experience to hear from customers and observe their buying patterns and behaviors in person. So we would set up a booth with a whole bunch of products, and I could just sit back and watch where did people gravitate, what was the thing that they were into, and I'd ask them, hey, why do you like this? Or they come back and they'd say, there was a problem with something, and so it just fast tracked our learning. We didn't have a business plan when we started in 2014. I was 23. I had just left college. I thought that I'd have maybe 3 to 6 months to figure out how to have a dream experience and not necessarily go through a traditional business route or career path. And
Mhm.
so I just had all of this desire to make this thing successful. And I think watching people at the booths was the best offline strategy because it brought it right to my face. That pivoted and that changed in 2017. We stopped doing festivals because the online presence became greater than what we could manufacture and support. The thing that makes us different is that we are a manufacturer. We produce our products at a 16,000 square foot, or two facilities with 16,000 square feet of space in Carlsbad, California. We
Oh,
use
nice.
a whole host of innovative technologies to remain competitive while having sewing, cut and sew, heat press, sublimation, fulfillment, processing, marketing, all under our own control and vertically integrated here. It's not easy to do, but I think it's the most freeing way to do business. It's why I do it, because we are not dependent on a lot of outside partners. And that also helped. I mean, during COVID, it impacted a lot of people to have their supply chains so globally
Yeah.
stretched. So I think the offline strategy is great for a period of time. Uh, and you should maintain it. We're now starting to do collaborations with clubs. We just worked with Resorts World. If you guys have been to Las Vegas recently, a beautiful casino with some awesome clubs, Zook and IU. We outfitted all of the staff for EDC Week. That's the big festival with 500,000 people in Vegas that happened a couple weeks ago. And I think now it's strategic partnerships at the clubs, but there's this transition. You can't do everything all at once unless you have tons of money. So you kind of got to choose what's going to be the right thing at the right time.
What's interesting about what you said is that, one thing that we always kind of share with brands and how they can actually build retention is actually going out to the stores that they sell in, seeing how the salespeople interact with customers, seeing how, exchange with customer service on the phone and just listen in. So it seems like you had that at the very beginning. There's nothing you need to train, 10 years down the road now, which is fantastic. Seems like it really helped.
It helped a ton, totally by accident. I'm telling you, we did not start with the plan. The plan was this: make enough money to be able to pay for our next festival ticket. We were broke college kids, right? Like we just wanted to go to more shows. And it's obviously changed and turned into something a lot bigger. But the beginning was just, how do we go to more shows? And then it became, we need to sell more clothes. And now the people are asking for this. And then we just fell in love with that process. So highly recommend, just like you said, go and observe and watch. If you haven't done it yet, be where your customers are, talk to them a lot, and figure out not just what they say, because I think that's the difference here. That's the key insight here that we're talking about. It's not always what they say. It's watching what they do. And then the relationship between what they're saying and what they do, that's how you can start to realize that people might online see that you're posting a new collection and recognize, wow, tons of engagement. Oh, we love it. That's amazing. Oh, we can't wait. Drop day comes and you're like, crickets. Where are the sales? You guys said you loved it. What happened? And that's just like consumer behavior sometimes. They'll say that they like one thing, but the price point was too high, or they didn't actually like it, or you dropped it a little too far away from payday. And there's all these other considerations that go into it.
Yeah, you got to listen to the customer, not just hear from them or just pay attention to value metrics. It's actually seeing what they're doing, how they react. And that's really key to it. And you mentioned something about your manufacturing process, that's just reminded me, like in terms of speed to build on trends or build on insights on what's going on in the world and social listening, things like that. Seems like you guys are on the cutting edge to get that done pretty quickly. Has that also helped you fulfill on customers' expectations and constantly be new in your customers' eyes?
It is, and it's probably the biggest foundational block to our retention strategy, because it is so much easier to keep somebody coming back and being loyal to the brand if you give them reasons to do so. And that's a volume game in this marketing day and age. That's a volume game. And I see this convergence between marketing and production. I mean, our business is pretty much set up as like there's a marketing department and a production department. Obviously, there's other facets of the business, but it's functionally like we're making products and we're trying to sell them. And I guess the approach to using the microfactory, the key differentiator is that we can generate 300 to 400 new SKUs every single week. We can keep a very low quantity on the initial run. So we might have we provide our products in extra small through 2X. So there's eight sizes, including the plus sizes. And we might not make a ton in any of them. Drop day comes around. Let's say that the sales velocity of the larges in that particular size is just like off the charts. It's a signal. We see it and we say, okay, that's great. Our software inventory forecasting says we set it to like, these are the signals. This is when we want to trigger a reorder from ourselves. If we drop something at 10 o'clock, by 2 o'clock, we have enough statistically significant information from the conversion rate, how many people are seeing it, to know, all right, instead of making 10 or 20 or 50, maybe we need to make 80 if we're trying to keep it in stock for the next bit. But that's 80 larges. It's not 80 part of a minimum order quantity that you're forced into these size ranges when you're working with outside manufacturers that make it so you're basically choosing like, yeah, we don't want to sell out of our best selling item.
Mhm.
So kind of choosing to, I know I'm not going to be able to sell it in that size range, but the manufacturer doesn't want to do it that way because it doesn't make sense profitably for them to not do. So there's all these
Yeah.
factors. We just avoid all that by saying, hey, we're going to make whatever we want, which is what the people want. And
Yeah.
that helps a ton. And then the items that didn't sell well, those just go off the website. We didn't make a lot anyway. They'll be sold out within 2 months, and we're on to the next thing the next week. So we have a weekly collection drop, sometimes 2 per week, and that's 300 to 400 SKUs, generally speaking. So it is an absurd product development rate, but it's actually not that complicated once you get the system in place. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people in the manufacturing world are getting smart to it. We obviously do it in California, where there's very strict labor laws about what you have to pay and what we provide, and everyone has a very comfortable, living wage here. But that's not, Shein, for example, and other fast fashion brands globally. They are doing a very similar process when it comes to the way that they're
Yeah.
choosing the products to produce, or Temu, but they're using like slave labor and stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
don't do the bad part, like avoid that.
Right. Right.
But the consumer insight piece on production, that's smart, and what Shein's doing there is smart. They just need to tighten up the ship in regards to the labor and human rights
Yeah.
issues.
No, exactly what you're saying. It seems like the
Alleged.
fast fashion approach, allegedly, right? Uh, the fast fashion approach, but locally, and it seems like that's kind of what's been a good combination, kind of a pretty much a unique differentiator, which is very interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I encourage
Along
others
those
to do the
lines,
same
though,
thing.
yeah, brands should definitely do the same thing. Along those lines, um, you know, a lot of brands we talk to feel that the product is the tip of the spear, and when it comes to retention, the product has got to be really top notch. And of course, that's very true. At the same time, you're on a mission. If I'm not mistaken, it's all about expression and how you're expressing yourself as an individual, freedom, artistic freedom, you name it. Um, is one better at retention than the other? Is the product better, or the artistic expression better, or do they go hand in hand? You have to blend it seamlessly to really have that customer stay with you guys for a long time.
It's a great question. I imagine that I imagine that there's a lot of different ways to answer that depending on the products and the
Right.
markets that people are selling into. For us, I think that product takes a front seat because we're manufacturers at heart, but I also view manufacturing as artistic expression. I think the reason we
Mm,
are manufacturing is because we want to be connected to the process. We want to see those products come through. Our quality control is dialed because we're seeing it all here. There's so many opportunities for us to be able to improve the process and see, are we using the right thread? Is the fabric the best it can be? Are we using the
mhm.
best process? If uh, there's a reason for us to be super efficient in manufacturing,
Right.
using our laser cutter, and because like the yield matters. Where if we're just buying it from somebody else somewhere else, maybe I don't really care how efficient it is because like I'm not seeing the waste, but like we see the
Mm,
waste. So it forces this care, and I think art, some foundational sense. I mean, I don't know, ChatGPT can correct me on this one, but I like art is related to caring about something in a unique way, and
mhm.
that care, other people view it as expression, and that's where it's connected to the consumer. The consumer might want to represent that piece of art, and that for them is the expression that they also like to support that art. It might be that art from the graphic standpoint and not just the style and cut also speaks to them. We use really bright, vibrant, blacklight reactive, UV, super cool rave, looking stuff, and people that just might really get them, or they're going to a
Yeah.
themed party and they're like, oh, I needed to be a zebra this weekend. That black and white thing's cool, or a cyberpunk rave. So it goes hand in hand, but I think it starts for us at I can't differentiate the product from the art from as we're doing it. But I think in terms of retention and keeping people, it's more the velocity. Like if you had one really
Mhm.
great piece of art each year, that's awesome. Great. We love it. We're happy for you. But can you produce more? Because the
Right.
people want
Mhm.
more. So
Yeah.
art but fast is probably the best in terms of retention, getting people to come back in. More product drops. Don't do quarterly, don't do
Mhm.
monthly. You need like weekly or daily. You need something to be bringing to the people.
That's huge because that is actually what you're saying. It's all about the artistic expression of your of the products you make, is really what helps most, right? You're becoming more expressive in the trends and the styles and the attitude and the social listening out there, and you're creating in your products. So it kind of goes hand in hand, like the flywheel effect. They both go hand in hand to really accelerate it
Yeah,
very
and
well.
ideally, it helps the customer express themselves in a
Yeah.
new and unique way too, right? Because they'll take our products and then they'll accessorize it in a different way, and then they have a fun, moment, and somebody at a festival comes up and like, oh, that looks so cool, and then they become friends. So it's
Mhm.
this positive communal reinforcement that's the goal. That's what we're
Right.
trying to produce. Good vibes at parties everywhere around the world. So
Right. Expressive individuals all in one community. So it's like a little bit of a great homogenous approach.
yeah.
Um, but the way you can actually probably accelerate it is, and replicate you and your wife and your team is probably how you've used AI. And that seems to be one of the big accelerators for your brand right now. What is the latest AI innovations you've been using to scale your business and specifically retention?
Yeah. So been playing, like many of the, people listening, we've been playing around with different AI tools for a few years now. Originally, I started trying to automate our blog posting. This is pre-ChatGPT. This is probably, 2021, 2020 timeframe where it's like, yeah, man, this like SEO stuff is tough. Like I'm trying to not spend so much time here. And so using
Yeah.
like copy AI and Jasper and things like that earlier on. And it was okay, but you could see the future coming, but it just
Hmm.
wasn't hitting the way you wanted it to. Um, so when ChatGPT came out, I was thinking it was like December 3rd or something. So it was a couple days after I, downloaded, used it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. So I told Alyssa, I was like, Alyssa, you're CEO now. I'm anointing myself chief AI officer, and I
Hmm.
spent the next 9 months just going down super dark X Twitter or AI holes, figuring out every
Wow.
tool that I could and learning and just really enjoying that process. I'm sure a lot of people can relate, but I told my staff in December, of that year, everyone needs to do 20 questions a day. I was like, I want you to think about this like physical activity, like 20 questions a day. I don't care if you ask the same question, one question with multiple prompts, or if you
Hmm.
do 20 separate questions, if you ask it how to be a better, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, if it's about work, whatever. I don't care. I just need you asking questions. And our staff did a wonderful job adopting it and feeling really empowered by how quickly they could learn to be better at prompting. And so that was kind of the foundation step of, the way that we transformed the business was that we got everybody into practicing and developing the skill of prompting and to feel comfortable with it. And I didn't say, hey, go do it with work. I said,
Hmm.
do it with something that's going to help. Hey, you need to make some groceries, like grocery lists. Here's how you can do this. And so because I had been using it for myself and practicing and having a lot of fun, I was showing the team how to feel comfortable with it because there's obviously a lot of hesitation that people
Yeah.
can have. Luckily, our staff is pretty forward thinking, so they're not too thrown off by it.
Right.
However, I will say there were certain groups within the organization that were more hesitant to use it because they felt a lot more threat. And I will say
Mm.
that was specifically our graphic designers.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
our graphic designers initially had a lot of pushback to even wanting to use it. And it was only after Midjourney released version 4, no, 3.5,
Mhm.
4, 3,
See?
right in there, where there was this leap where it actually became effective to help them in their processes. And it went from like, oh, that's cool, but we're not really using it day to day. And like, Mike coming into the office again for showing another cool way to
Mhm.
use Midjourney. And then it went to, you know, Mike, I am so impressed. I used this until 3 in the morning last night. I can't stop.
Wow.
And that transition flip for the creatives in the business, now they're using AI to expand their creativity. So they're past the hesitation and they're fully at the adoption and now leveraging it to, I mean, it's crazy. I'll go buy their computers and I just see like
Wow.
unbelievable amounts of content that they're pushing, and they'll pull one image here and another graphic and modify things and put it together. And then we have a really awesome piece of art. It's
Right.
different art. It's AI assisted art. And there's still people who are upset about this, and that's okay. It's going to take a while for people to
Yeah.
feel,
Yep.
okay about it, but it's helping our staff in that area where it was sticky.
Yeah.
Now, the next phase after you've got buy-in and established it with the team, and you have to be the practitioner yourself. You have to
Yep.
actually be using it in a way that is magnified and believe in it can save you time, right? So uh, and then it's kind of familiarizing yourself with the landscape of what are the operational efficiencies that can be gained. And I think it's best in terms of motivating oneself if it's okay, well, how can I help myself? So
Mhm.
what are you doing on email? Are you using Gemini AI? Are you using Superhuman? Are you using something that's going to make you 10 seconds faster per email, 5 seconds? That adds up. If you have 50 emails a day, you got
Yep.
yourself back 15 minutes. And then I started to think about this differently. This is towards the end of the 9-month period where I was just like all in on AI. I wasn't really even doing anything with Freedom at this point. The team was
Mhm.
running it, and I was just in my dark hole before I emerged.
Right.
Gandalf the White
Right.
emerged.
Right.
And I realized that it's a lot more about physics and like conservation of energy. Uh, the implementation of AI is a lot more about conservation of energy, and that's where the return on investment comes. Yes, it's nice to have the return on invested capital in a business, but the
Mhm.
return on invested time is, arguably to time is money. Okay, we get that. But it's the energy, it's the passion, it's removing the drudgery around a task that, man, I need to go through the CSV. It's going to take me, 45 minutes of just mind-numbing just execution.
Yep.
And it's like you empower someone to avoid that. Guess what? The next 45 minutes of their productivity is excited. And if there's a threshold that you hit when you are excited doing work. It's contagious. The people around the business get excited, and
Mhm.
that's the movement. And so, I feel like I'm speaking from this place where it's like I've seen the positive aspects of AI in the workplace related to operational efficiency. I'm not saying that there's not going to be some, you know, doom, doom
Yep.
and
You
gloom
never
at the
know.
end when,
Mhm.
yeah, the fully autonomous agents come for all of our jobs. But before then, it has been fantastic to see the team adopt all of these different tools. Uh, Most recent one that I like to shout out, Gamma AI for slide decks.
Mhm.
If you're
Okay.
spending a lot of time wasting the the mental energy for creative output, and you also need to like organize the slide deck. ChatGPT is making those outlines for you. You're putting that into Gamma, and then it's putting a really beautiful slide deck together. That saves us a lot of time. I highly recommend it. Um, so obviously we can go through. There's 10,000 different things, but I think it's really just about being a practitioner, looking at the things that are taking your time and energy, and then fixing that for your staff. Like
Right.
help them see the future. Be about it.
Yeah. So that's huge. It's like also like I love what you said about that energy saving. It looks like you've cracked the lifetime value on your employees even, right? You've unlocked their potential and they actually enjoy coming to work and using the technology to accelerate their own learnings and empower their inherent, talents. That's
Yeah.
kind of the how you crack the nut on that.
I mean, you're right. Yeah, the retention piece, I guess that's retention internally too, right?
Internal
Uh,
retention, yeah.
but
Mm.
when it goes, relating it to the retention for customers, our ability to, our ability as a brand to promote that positivity and that good vibe and that goodwill is vastly improved when the staff is excited
Oh,
about their work as well. So I think that that's important because then it translates if they're, if they're using, chat for optimizing different Facebook ad copy strategies, for example. Like, okay, there's AI helping us get our our product out, and people able to laugh at it, or maybe we're coming at it from like a sexier angle, or we're prompting it to be just like absurd. Like we want hyperbolic statements that are just going to make someone be like, what? So it's just clickbaity things. That helps, and people will experience it, and people are already experiencing our products that have an infusion of AI art along with our graphic designers flair on it. But I think that the retention is back to volume, and AI is a volume play. AI really helps with volume, and if it's about making more products and getting more content out, it seems like it's a good place to get proficient at.
Yeah. Huge. And I know a lot of e-commerce brands tend to use machine learning for a lot of what they're doing as well, for product recommendations and dynamic segments and predictive. Is that kind of all in your AI wormhole you went into? Is that also something you explored?
Yeah. So as far as the marketing, the marketing tech stack, as it were, I'm sure everyone else is seeing this too. Like all of the businesses are adding AI into it, right? So it's it was formerly it was Klaviyo, now it's Klaviyo AI.
Right. Yeah.
I
Put
haven't seen
AI
that one
under
yet, but
everything.
it'll be funny.
Yeah.
So the segmentation is, with machine learning, and segmentation is kind of like earlier wave. And then now it's like, hey, now you can prompt the segmentation creation. Right now it's like I can just with natural language say, I want to target people who have purchased in the last 90 days who were loyal customers but haven't seen or haven't opened any of the last 2 new release collections. Like, okay, cool. So it takes the if then statement piece, makes it a little more approachable, and I've seen it be helpful for our like newer marketing staff, people who might not necessarily have as much experience, or they just get a little thrown off because they might make an error, might make a mistake. That's not to say you shouldn't still check the segments you're making with that tool in Klaviyo on the AI side, but it's like you see it in getting into the businesses. Gorgeous, we're in Gorgeous's AI agent beta right now, and that's been fantastic. It's crazy how good the AI agent responses are in Gorgeous now. I'm just like, wow, this is incredible. And so having that and giving it more data, and then being able to see like how our customer support ticket times are just, I mean, they're down like 45% now. And we haven't
Awesome.
even given it all of the edge case scenarios to assess yet. But I'll say this. We had a ticket come in the other day where somebody asked a question that we've never given any documentation help on this ever whatsoever. And the agent answered it wonderfully. I was like, what? Like we are in the upside down world. Like I didn't even train you on this, and it was the
Right.
right answer. Like what? So yeah, we do use a lot of different tools, but I feel
There you
like
go.
all of them have some version of AI coming through, and it's really exciting times.
Oh yeah, it's always great to see the new initiative. And actually, I read something in segments. I think there was an article out there where you were talking about how you started using more segments in more of a multi-channel strategy, using it for your Facebook ads, Google ads, and that's actually an area where I've done retention email SMS for
Yep.
about since 2015. This is kind of table stakes for the brands, top brands out there. Yet not many people do it. Why do you feel no one's using these multi-channel segments to help fuel their entire marketing strategy?
That is a phenomenal question, because you're right. I mean, it makes so much sense to do it.
Yeah,
Why not? Maybe it's just a lack of education around the tool
probably.
itself.
Yeah.
So using the Segments app for us to push out the messaging in a way that doesn't feel like we're uh, bombarding the wrong person at the wrong time. We have obviously like the actives, at risk and churned
Mhm.
segments.
Yep.
And then inside of that, we have new signups, one timers, repeats, and loyals. And so there's that like little grid section, and it's okay, well, we're going to target these people here. And I can push that segment, let's say active loyals, and then I
Mhm.
can run that as a lookalike audience push that segment out, create a lookalike audience inside of Facebook based off of that group. That helps us find those high value active people that we know are going to have a high repeat. But maybe a different strategy at a time where when there's a big festival coming around, we know that it's not necessarily a lot of repeat customers that have come through, but we're going to get a lot of one-time customers. We just want to be in front of the people at the right time. So then you're going to Facebook and you're using maybe a different approach. It's a traffic campaign instead of a sales campaign. And you're using it based off of the one-time purchasers in the last 90 days and not having to go in and make those segments individually inside of Klaviyo, inside of Facebook, inside of TikTok, and thinking about organizing it and orchestrating it in one cohesive strategy. That is where we've gotten a lot of value from, for sure. I feel like you kind of got to, you need someone to show it to you to do it quickly, or you just got to like relentlessly try and figure it out yourself. But it's helpful. What do you what do you think? What have you seen from people?
I mean, for sure. That's exactly what you're doing. And I think that a part of our core strategy is, the segmentation is really key. But then what also the magic also happens when you have personalization, right? So you have to have the segmentation and the personalization piece go hand in hand, right? So if you're, let's say, an at-risk buyer, and you know what they bought, and you know what they have a propensity to buy if they buy the second time or third time, wherever it may be, you show them the right creatives, the right angle, the right messaging on every channel, and that will get them to engage and convert a lot faster. So, that's kind of the next step, but it seems like you're on that right path, and that's exactly where you're going, especially with AI being able to personalize a lot more nowadays anyway.
Yeah, I think okay. So this is fun because I don't know. Did you see yesterday the like trending piece? I know Elon retweeted it, but it was the Jack Dorsey comments around like we shouldn't really be thinking about free speech, but the like real threat is free will. Did you see
No,
this?
I did not see that one. No,
Okay,
what,
okay,
what,
okay.
what was
So
that? That's
anyway,
interesting.
anyway, yeah, the thing that Jack was referring to is just the idea that like our free will, our free agency in an algorithmic setting is not as robust as we might think. That we're
Mhm.
obviously this has been talked about in Social Dilemma, et cetera, as far as subtle manipulated behaviors over time that we're not necessarily aware of because we're being told and programmed, et cetera. Okay, probably the only solution to that is like turning off all electronic devices. But
Right.
Jack's proposed solution was an ability to choose which algorithms you wanted to be exposed to, which I guess is a happy compromise. But I think when you look at uh, when you say, okay, the ability to choose the algorithms that you're exposed to, the ability for brands to manage their own algorithmic presence across these channels in a way that isn't requiring that manual effort that all brand marketers who are doing the segmentation are aware of. It does take effort, but
Yeah.
automating those processes is where I see AI is going to come in. It's going to be a package tool where you can hey, here's how we can make sure that we're showing the right message to the right person at the right time. That to me feels super dystopian. I know it'll generate a lot of money, a lot of revenue and stuff, but the I think the reality of having algorithmic control as a brand across different channels in different ways is going to be a real seismic shift for brand marketers. And it's important to be at least ready for when those opportunities pop up. Interoperability agents that can do like multimodal modalities that are moving through different applications. Like you got to be ready because the first people to access this type of technology are going to have a huge advantage, and it's going to be very difficult to make up when you've got a bot army of 1,000 that's better than 1,000 proficient individuals. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's good to be the early worm here.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems like you also have to have that good philosophy of like, you know what, we want to also do good. We want to build a better customer relationship. We're not just here to sell products all the time. It's about, big picture. Where do we want to be in 5, 10 years with our customer? And it's very funny that one lesson I learned in business was that, you can go there fast, or you can go there together with someone, right? So like you said, some of the early adopters will get there fast, but, they may leave a lot of people behind or just not bring people up with them. So,
Yeah,
um,
no, that definitely makes sense.
yeah,
I'm I'm equally excited, and I don't know. It's
just
not,
petrified.
yeah, I,
Yeah,
I've heard this. I've heard a lot of rumblings from obviously like everyone knows that there's been a lot of people who've been laid off recently for different
yeah,
things. I'm just seeing in certain industries like extensive, what we'll call like seismic shifts to the normal way of doing things. And there's this huge capital, there's this huge intellectual capital release that's occurring simultaneously. And so
Yeah.
it's, I don't, in order to not get the dystopian future, we have so many displaced people. It's like we
Yeah.
need effective entrepreneurs and marketers to gather these resources as they become available and deploy
Yeah.
them in effective ways. And that requires a forward thinking leader of an organization. And so if you're listening out there, make sure you guys are doing these things and gather
Mhm.
those resources and put them to use, because
Yep.
we have to build the future that we want. It's not going to just happen. It has to be proactive. And that's why I'm excited. The petrified part is like the energies that try to restrict that. That's the part that I get a little worried about. But I'm optimistic. I hope I think things are going to work out. So
That's huge. Yeah, I think it's all in the power of who's wielding it and who's controlling it, and I think you guys are definitely on the cutting edge of it. I know we're almost at that time, and any final retention tips or strategies that you would recommend? It could be AI that you would recommend for a brand out there listening right now that they should kind of tackle pretty quickly.
yeah, if you aren't using AI to spot your inefficiencies, I would recommend doing that. So
Yeah,
uh, get really comfortable with just, I guess the word is like thinking about your thinking is a metacognition, but like thinking about your prompting. So uh, work on asking really good questions and keep working on it. Like it's
yeah,
almost a philosophical approach. Like get good at philosophy and getting to the true nature and essence of things. That will help. And I think it also increases just critical thinking, which is important.
oh, yeah,
And then the other component is be aware of the environment in which you're operating in. Some people are really nervous about what the future is going to bring. And, none of us really know, but the
yeah,
trend lines seem like they're going in a certain direction. So just be cautious and empathetic and understanding of everybody else's growth path. I feel like I'm an early adopter. So I got to wait sometimes for that, things to catch up. But if you're in an organization and there's some people who are really hesitant, like be mindful of that, because you want to foster goodwill, and the retention in the business is key to that. So those are my final thoughts. Keep crushing it, everybody. Do your thing.
yeah, yeah. That's great final thoughts. It seems like exactly what you're saying and what your mission is. Kind of have that individualistic approach, but also you want to go together with people and be, like you said, empathetic. I think it's always been one mantra of ours was the customer doesn't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and it seems like that's kind of in line with what you're saying.
Yeah, that's perfect. That is it right there.
Not my line, stole it from someone else.
No, take it.
No, I forgot who. I think it was Joey Coleman at Never Lose a Customer Again, but definitely check that book out.
Cool.
Well, Michael, it was great having you on this podcast episode and learning all about your brand and what you're doing with AI. Any final place they can go to learn more about Freedom Ravewear or Hotchin AI?
Yeah, so if you're going to a music festival and or a party and you want to have some super wild outfits, just go to freedomravewear.com. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok as well, at Freedom Ravewear. If you are interested in learning more about how AI can improve your operational efficiency at the business, shoot us a message at hodginai.com. And like I said, I hope you guys keep crushing it out there.
Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing all that. And it's really great and refreshing to hear someone who's really dove into AI and not just on a surface level, but like you said, spend 9 months underground, if you will, kicking the tires, learning it all and embracing it with your team and going with them. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Yep. So, everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of our Retention Nation podcast, where again, we're helping you turn your one-time buyers into lifetime buyers, and AI will help accelerate that, as Michael shared. He's doing some great things over at Freedom Ravewear, so I highly recommend you check them out. And I will see you on the next episode. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks for listening to the Retention Nation podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe and join our Retention Nation Facebook group. If you want to put this week's retention strategy into action within minutes, all done for you by our expert email, SMS, and retention team, you can go to highflyerdigital.com/book for a free 15-minute chat with myself and my team. It's time to turn those one-time and sometime buyers on your list into lifetime buyers and unlock the revenue you deserve. Your brand is worth it, and your customers will thank you for it. Until next week, I'm Isaac Hyman, wishing you a successful and profitable week.